It's being a fish out of water. Sometimes it's easier to not disclose those things about myself because I know that I'll get a better service.
We don't speak up about this stuff for fun. It's our lives.
Microaggressions all day, every day.
We are not a homogenous group. We come from every walk of life.
Text. Get real. Number 1. First-hand experiences from women with disabilities. Our Watch and Women with Disabilities Victoria acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands across Australia on which this work was created. We pay our respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, past and present. We acknowledge women with lived experience of disability and gender-based violence and the experiences of carers, families and supporters. Text. A content warning. While the content in this video resource is not about crisis situations, referrals, or how to respond to disclosures of violence, some content may still be confronting to hear. Text. If you need support, call 1-800-RESPECT on 1-800-737732 or download their Sunny app. Get it on Google Play or download it on the App Store. The participants in this video speak individually while seated within a studio. Renee is in a wheelchair with pink headphones on her lap.
Hello, I'm Renee. I am a proud First Nations Biripi Dunghutti woman. I am an artist, I'm a mum, I'm an auntie, I'm a community educator, I'm a community organiser and disability justice and gender justice advocate. I have brought along today my headphones. They are representative of me. I'm a neurodivergent person and they also are noise cancelling and play all of my favourite music.
Renee puts on her headphones, which have small pink cat's ears on the top.
Hi, my name's Talitha and I've brought in my wrist straps with me today. I use them for competitive powerlifting, but they signify a pathway to my diagnosis and empowering me as a disabled woman.
My name's Christine. I'm a disabled woman. My disability was acquired in 2019 and it changed my life. I work as an equality advocate and I'm also a part-time teacher at a neighbourhood house.
An assistance dog gets up off the floor at Christine's feet.
And this is my assistance dog, Sammy.
My name's Annabelle. I'm an occupational therapist and a disability advocate with lived experience. These are my favourite earrings. They represent my intersectional identity as part of the queer community as well as part of the disabled community.
Hi, I'm Laura. My pronouns are she and her, and I've brought in with me today a purple heat pack. It's kind of plain. It's like the most basic wheat bag that you can find. I just got it from the chemist. But I have cerebral palsy, and that comes with often a lot of joint pain. And so heat packs can often be my best friend.
Text. What's life like being a woman with disabilities?
As someone with an energy-limiting disability, it takes a toll. We then have to choose whether we have access for our disability or access to our culture because it feels like we're not given the choice. We have to choose either being disabled or being a blackfella. And barriers that we face from both of those intersections are really difficult. It's the everyday things that take so much more energy and so much more effort and so much more planning and logistics. And I think that's probably what makes life the hardest.
Having chronic conditions and having pain, having mental health concerns means that there are days when I'm not able to be as on or as uplifting as I might otherwise be, where I've felt as though my identities have been in conflict with either my ambition or society's expectations of me. I've tried to pretend to be someone who wasn't disabled in order to progress both my education and my career.
Because my diagnosis is also not widely known about, I don't get taken as seriously. I quite often have to fight and argue and do my own research. I can leave feeling really unvalidated, really unsafe. My experience may differ from someone without a disability because there's not as many screening questions, there's not as many fear responses at the start. There isn't internalised ableism or unconscious bias with that person. There isn't a lack of understanding about the person, even though they don't know anything about them as a surface level. I think they don't have to work twice as hard at times to be able to get recognition. It can be compounding to be proud and identify as a disabled queer person, needing to choose whether it's safe to identify as either one of those things or both.
I'm a woman over 50, I'm disabled, I'm overweight, and all of those intersectional things mesh together and create quite a mess for society to accommodate.
My experiences would differ from someone who was able-bodied because there just simply aren't the same barriers and I guess systemic and structural inequities that people without my lived experience would have to face every day. The internalised ableism, which again isn't a literal barrier but is still very much a challenge and something that myself and many disabled people are kind of constantly grappling with, given that we live in a very ableist world, a world that wasn't built for people with bodies and minds like mine.
The challenges are multifaceted. It's really hard navigating the world.
It is challenging to have fluctuating abilities because the internalised expectation I have of myself is that I will try and recreate 100% even on days when I only have 40% to give.
We spend our morning getting prepared for the day ahead and then trying to negate as many of the obstacles that we face when navigating the world. Outside of my home, there might be physical access issues.
The first literal barrier that I can think of is the front door to get into my apartment building. It's really, really heavy. And annoyingly, like the little fob thing where you have to like press the button for the door to open is quite a long distance from the actual door handle. So it's very difficult for me, particularly when I'm in Stella, the wheelchair, to actually get in and out of my own apartment building.
Imagine rocking up to a place and being told that your assistance dog can't come in when it's the law that they can.
I was getting on a tram a couple of years ago and I was struggling to go up the steps and I needed to stop like mid-step because I was spasming and my legs were really sore. When I said to him, like, I'm really sorry, I just have a disability, he just went and like rolled his eyes. I was so upset when that happened, like I just couldn't stop crying. And I'm just kind of, I guess, constantly hyper vigilant.
I might have 4, 5, 6 different people make a comment about myself or my appearance or my wheelchair, microaggressions all day, every day.
You will never know me or much about my life by hearing a list of my diagnoses. It will probably, in many ways, trigger the parts of your brain that are inherently about generalising experiences.
There's a presumption that if they have the qualifications and the skills and they're the right candidate, that they'll be able to do the job, which doesn't come with someone who has a disability. There's almost always a secondary question of, oh, but can you do this? What's it going to look like if, you have a bad day? I think there's a lot of barriers that exist for people with disabilities that aren't naturally there for people who don't have them.
I've been told, you can't be on our committee because you have PTSD and that might upset you, so we have to protect you. I've been called a liar and told that my lived experience is not true or valid. I've been denied medical treatment. I've had medical treatment delayed. It takes women a lot longer to find a diagnosis and to receive help for pain than it does men.
The way that disability is framed often is that there are lower expectations of those of us with disability.
Text: how allies can be supportive every day.
We are not a homogenous group. We come from every walk of life. We come from every political and social belief.
When people refer to the needs of a disabled person as being special needs, it really bothers me. Our needs are human needs. What I might need to be able to survive and exist equally in the world, those needs are not special. They're needs that I have as a human.
I would love to live in a society whereby I can ask for help without having to offer my life story and all of my trauma, or be met with blatant disbelief at every turn.
I think sometimes people get worried that they don't know how to do the right thing or the exact right thing. But for me, I think the biggest change that people can make is realising it's the everyday little instances, making sure that the place they're going to is wheelchair accessible or has gender neutral toilets or it has facilities that you will need without putting the onus on your disabled friend.
If we make a request, if we call you out for something that's ableist, don't dismiss us, take us seriously. We don't speak up about this stuff for fun. We speak up about it because it's our lives.
Where allies have the most success is where they are able to see the disability community and see the richness and diversity and the complexity of our community.
The most important thing people can do is to just recognise that that person is a whole person. Disability is a large part of someone's identity, but it doesn't make that person whole. True collaboration and true working together in that space means that it creates safe spaces for people. That's how you show up as an ally.
It's so crucial that we be accepted and encouraged in the workplace.
I would love to see more disabled people in positions of power or leadership and to be creating safer, inclusive spaces for all of your staff members and your service users.
Addressing those attitudes and those expectations of disabled people on an individual and systemic level is one of the most important changes that society can make.
It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So working every day to unlearn things that you may not even realise that you have a view of or a way that you see people with disability or women with disability. Just stopping and thinking, what am I doing in this situation to make sure that everybody has access to this?
Text. This video is part of a suite of Changing the Landscape practice resources, produced in partnership by Our Watch and Women with Disabilities Victoria, and supported by the Australian Government Department of Social Services. We thank every project participant that has helped to make this practice resource series. Thank you for generously and boldly sharing your experiences, expertise, and for your leadership in calling for much needed change. Visit ourwatch.org.au or search Changing the Landscape online to find out more about our work and steps everyone can take to prevent violence against women and girls with disability. Violence is not inevitable, it is preventable. Our Watch, Women with Disabilities Victoria.